Hey folks, Coach back at you. Well, we've had a number of requests to do some weight training to make you a better athlete. So in this video, what I'd like to do is to share some of my top weight training activities, exercises if you will, to make you a better thrower. Now many of you probably have done weight training before and haven't really seen any progression in your training. In this video, we're going to try to provide you with some helpful tips in order to get out of that rut and to move forward in terms of being stronger and faster. So stay tuned. So one of the most popular exercises, weight training, is obviously the squat. And the squat is obviously one of the most important activities that you can be a part of. And the reason is because it's your largest muscle group. And it doesn't matter if you're a football player, a hockey player, a track athlete, anytime you're dealing with the largest muscle group and what you're trying to do is trying to create force into a surface back up through your body to either go fast or strong or whatever. It's the main muscle group that you need to work. I find that what a lot of athletes do, they run the same activity for a long period of time, and it's not any fault of their own. What happens is there's not a lot of activities to do. Anybody who's been around a gym or weight room will understand that there's only so many activities you can do. The question is how do you create a variation in that activity in order to create an increase in performance? So this is what we're going to share with you today, and we're going to start with my number one is obviously the squat. So to get a better look at how this can change for you, we're going to take a little closer look down at the surface. Okay, for many athletes, being shoulder width apart in the squatting event is kind of normal, but what you want to do is, you can do that, but I would suggest over a 2 or 3 week period that change. So that position, your foot position needs to change. So how do we change it? Well, you have to fool your muscles a little bit in order to create change. So there are a number of variations on this. So after 2 or 3 weeks, you may want to bring your feet in slightly closer. In other words, that will create another change in some other part of your major muscle group through your legs. After 2 or 3 weeks, I would suggest to change it again. Not to go to shoulder width, but go even further apart. This will create some change on various muscles within that group and create that adaptation. Every 2 or 3 weeks is a good idea. I normally do it between 4 and 5 weeks with my athletes. So it does create a really, really good change in that regard. So think about changing the position of your feet in the squat. Well, clearly moving your feet and creating a different position will have some positive outcomes in your training program. Here's another little helpful tip that has been really successful with our athletes, and that is creating an overcapacity in the muscle group. In other words, going more than 100%. You're saying, well, how do I do more than what I can do? So in the squatting event, for example, what we do is we'll overload by maybe 110%. So you'll do about 10 to 15% more than what you would normally do. But how do we do that? Well, we don't go down into a full squat position. No. What we'll do is we'll go down maybe half the distance and come back up. I think anybody that lifts weights will understand this. You'll go down a certain distance, and if you go into your full position and come up, that's clearly a maximum. But there are some situations where you can create an overload, and as a result, you can come down maybe half the distance and come back up. What you're telling your muscles, what you're telling your neurological system, whoa, there's something new here, and what we need to do is adapt to it. So you do 3 or 4 of those in a set of 3 or 4, and you can create a condition whereby you're shocking the neurological system, your muscular system, into saying, whoa, something's different, and we need to adapt to it. So you're trying to fool your body for that change. So try that overload system, and I would suggest you do it in that pre-competition phase. In other words, that month or so out of competition for about 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks in a row, in your major muscle group areas. So just think about that. It's a helpful hint, and it's been successful for us. Okay, I'm going to go show you my second most favorite activity in terms of being in a weight room, and that is a sit and press. Sit and press is to create a more dynamic athlete, someone who's able to get into certain positions quicker, someone who's able to move, implement quicker, throw faster, hit harder, whatever. This just allows you to use a whole range of muscle groups in the body in order to be a much more dynamic athlete. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, my third favorite activity in a weight room is the bench press. And clearly when we're talking about our major upper body strength in terms of our triceps, biceps, chest pectorals, whatever, we're talking about allowing yourself to use the upper body to its maximum capacity in terms of performance. Question is, this has been done a lot. The question is, how do you make it a little bit different? And it comes right back to the squatting activity where we change the position of the hands in order to create adaptation later in your program. So every 3 to 5 weeks, you should change the position of your hands in order to create an adaptation or a change. So as far as the hand position, let's have a look at a couple of those positions that you can integrate into your program. So the normal grip is done just shoulder width apart, and this would be, your mainstay as far as your bench press is concerned. Another variation obviously is to move your hands in a little bit closer. I know that is very difficult to do, but nevertheless works a different area group of your upper body, particularly your chest. And the other variation, of course, is here's your normal position to go out nice and wide. Be careful you don't pinch your hands there in the grips, but you can create a really good condition this way as well. So by doing the bench press this way, it'll create that variation in your program to allow you to get that adaptation in order to trick your body in saying that it's going to be doing something a bit different every 48 hours. That's what I would recommend. Hey folks, this is my fourth favorite activity in the weight room. And I like it because we have to connect the upper body strength to that lower body strength. It's so important to develop the core, for sure. I know it's the not most sexiest thing to do in the weight room, but it has to be done. You have to work your core, abdomen, your back, okay? And here's one activity of many that could be done, but it's one of my favorites. It's the scissor sit-up, okay? So I love it. Let's show you how it's done. Come up as far as you can, but really important to make the twist at the top. You can do this with weight on the back of your head. And the question you're saying is, how many times do I do this? Well, how many times do I do it? 50 times, times 3 in an activity, for sure. When I'm in my program, in the gym, 3 times 50, minimum. Get that burn in the core, works the back a bit, certainly works the abdomens. So there's my fourth most favorite activity. Okay, number 5 on the list. Remember I was telling you about the core earlier, how important it is? We neglect the back far too much. And what I'd like to do is to show you the back up. And that's a really important one. Let me show you that one.
So demonstrating the back up, it's really quite simple. Just place the appropriate weight behind your head, raising upward to near horizontal, going down as far as you can, and then increasing. And you could do this 3 times 12, 3 times 15 in your normal workouts. Well, that wraps things up. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned to Throws Coach in the future.